If you're the kind of person who wants the floors to look consistently clean without thinking about it every day, the self-emptying part of this robot is what you notice the fastest. I ran it for days at a time and stopped doing that little empty the bin, tap the dust out, wipe the filter routine that usually makes robot vacs feel like another chore. This is the iRobot Roomba 104 2-in-1 vacuum and mop robot, and it sits in that practical middle zone. It's not trying to be a showpiece with every possible AI trick, but it is built to handle real homes with mixed floors where you want vacuuming and mopping to happen on a schedule. It's best for someone who has hard floors with some rugs, maybe pets, maybe a busy household, and you mostly want the place to stay under control between deeper clean days. If your floors are constantly cluttered with cords, socks, or small toys, you can still use it, but you'll get the best experience if you do a quick floor scan before you send it out. On the design side, what matters day to day is that the robot is low enough to get under a lot of furniture, but it still has that LiDAR turret on top, so there will be a few tight clearances it won't fit under. In my space, it handled under the couch and most chairs fine, but there were a couple of low cabinets where it just couldn't clear. The body feels solid, not flimsy, and the round shape is the usual Roomba vibe, which is good for gliding around chair legs, but it also means corners are always a little bit of a challenge. It does have an edge-sweeping brush, and in my runs along baseboards, it actually pulled a surprising amount of dust out of places I didn't think were that dirty. The dock is taller than a basic charging base because it's doing the self-emptying. I kept it against a wall where it had enough room to line up, and once I put it in a clean open spot, docking was generally reliable. Living with it starts with setup, and that experience felt very modern iRobot. You're basically doing everything through the app, and the robot itself has minimal buttons. Pairing was straightforward on my Wi-Fi, but I will say this now so you don't lose time like I did. You want a stable 2.4 GHz network, and you want the dock somewhere the robot can approach in a straight shot. After that, the first mapping run was where the Roomba 104 started to feel more serious than older robots I've used. It didn't do that random bounce thing. It moved with purpose, in neat paths, and it didn't care whether the lights were on. I've run it early in the morning and late at night, and the navigation stayed consistent. Day-to-day control is simple. I mostly used room targeting and schedules, and that's where this type of product makes sense. I don't want to think about vacuuming the kitchen after cooking or chasing pet hair around the hallway. I just want those areas handled routinely. The app lets me send it to specific rooms, and when I adjusted suction or changed how much water it uses for mopping, I could actually see the difference on the floor, which is the point. Responsiveness is good overall, though I did have moments where the app felt a bit heavy, like it took a second to load the map or register a change. It never broke the experience for me, but it also didn't feel instant every single time. Vacuum performance is the core here, and in real use, it's strong enough that I stopped doing just one quick pass with a stick vac as often. On hard floors, it's the kind of cleaning where you can walk barefoot after and not feel grit. On rugs, it pulled up hair and dust that I honestly didn't see until I checked what it collected. It has that multi-surface brush setup that does well across different floor types. But with any bristle-style brush, hair management becomes a reality. In my place, hair wrap happened gradually, and if I ignored it for too long, I could hear the brush getting a little noisier. When I popped it out and cleaned it, everything went back to normal. So yes, it's not never maintain it, but it is less effort than daily vacuuming. The mopping is where I had more mixed feelings, and I'll explain it the way it played out in my routine. As a maintenance mop, it's genuinely useful. It's not just dragging a wet cloth randomly. The pad stays evenly damp, and on tile and sealed hard floors, it removed light footprints, kitchen splatter haze, and that dull film you get in high-traffic areas. When I used the stronger scrubbing mode on a couple of dried spots, it did better than I expected, especially for something that's still an automated robot. The catch is that it's still a hands-on mopping system compared to the high-end docks that wash and dry pads. Here, I'm filling the tank myself, and I'm washing the microfiber pad myself. If you treat it like this replaces all mopping forever, you'll be disappointed. If you treat it like this keeps the floor looking presentable during the week, it fits. One smart behavior I really appreciate is how it handles carpet when mopping. In my testing, it avoided rugs when the mop was active, which meant I wasn't babysitting it, worrying it would climb up and dampen something I wanted to keep dry. That's the kind of feature that sounds small until you've had a robot mop ruin a rug edge or leave that wet smell. Here, it was more confident about staying on hard surfaces. Now, the self-emptying dock is the part that changes how often you interact with the robot. I'm not emptying a bin after every run, and that's what makes it feel close to hands-off. When the dock empties, it's loud for a few seconds. The best way I can describe it is, it's not subtle. And if you're on a call in the same room, you'll notice. I scheduled cleans for times when I'm not trying to relax in silence, and that solved it. The bag system is also nicer for allergies, because you're not dumping a dust cloud into your trash. You pull the bag out, toss it, and that's it. For real-world testing, I put it through the stuff that actually shows weaknesses. I ran it after cooking, when crumbs and seasoning dust were on the kitchen floor. It got the obvious debris easily, and it also picked up that fine grit that usually gets pushed into corners. I ran it in a hallway, where hair collects along the baseboards, and it improved that area noticeably over a few days, because it was consistent. I ran it around dining chairs, and it navigated without getting stuck in that pinball between chair legs pattern that older robots fall into. I also tested the one scenario that trips up a lot of robots: a charging cable left near the edge of a rug. This model doesn't have a front-facing AI camera system that recognizes tiny hazards, so it can still snag on cables or socks. When my floor was tidy, the experience was smooth. When I got lazy and left stuff down, it reminded me quickly. Here's a specific use case that's basically how I'd recommend using it. I scheduled a vacuum and mop run for my kitchen and entryway in the late afternoon. That's when those areas get the most traffic. The robot handled the daily mess, the mop kept the tile looking brighter, and I didn't have to think about it. Then I did vacuum-only runs for the rug areas on a different schedule. That split made the most sense because it let the robot focus on what it's best at without me worrying about damp pads near rugs. Battery life in practice was enough for my regular runs, and when it had more area to cover, it behaved the way you want a smarter robot to behave. It went back, charged, and continued. I care less about the exact number on paper and more about whether I come back to a half-cleaned home. In my use, it finished the job as long as the map was stable and the floor wasn't full of obstacles. So after living with it, the Roomba 104 makes sense for someone who wants reliable cleaning coverage. A real self-emptying dock, and a hybrid vacuum mop that actually gets used instead of being a gimmick. The biggest compromises are that you still need to maintain the brush if you have long hair or pets. You still need to handle the mop pad yourself, and you can't expect it to magically avoid every small object on the floor. If your home is fairly organized and you want clean floors with minimal daily effort, this robot fits into life really well. If your place is constantly chaotic at floor level, you might want something with more advanced obstacle recognition. Or you'll need to adjust your habits a bit. I will leave all the information about the iRobot Roomba 104 2-in-1 vacuum and mop robot in the comments. I hope to see you again in the following videos.